Yes, indeed. It is called Lothric, where the transitory lands of the Lords of Cinder converge.
Hello, everybody! We are finally ready to have the conversation you've all been waiting for. The Witcher 3 discussion. No, Dark Souls 3. Ian, did you beat it?
Yeah.
Okay, so all of us have finished the game. We're going to share our thoughts. I'm acting like a host right now. I'm not really the host. I'm just giving you the introduction. What's the first thing that we should talk about? So this is kind of an ending for Dark Souls. By the way, they're going to be super heavy spoilers. Maybe don't watch
spoiler talk.
All the spoilers.
The super in-depth Dark Souls 3 discussion if you don't want to be spoiled. This is your last chance to get out alive.
I think this is called the Dark Souls 3 spoiler cast, isn't it?
Whoa, I'm just gonna...
You've reclined.
Whoa, dude, I like that, man.
Yeah. I can't tell if your face is covered by the mic or what, but now it definitely is.
Yep. Keep it covered.
He's made his choice.
This is kind of an ending for Dark Souls. Do you think it was a fitting end?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Ties up all the loose ends.
Hold on, let's hear from Huber. I know he has a few words to say about this.
Oh, the endings?
Did you not like this game? What's the deal?
No.
10 out of 10. It's my favorite. It's my favorite Souls game.
Including
But
Bloodborne?
once again, I just wish there. This is gonna sound so pretentious.
What?
Jacking my pillow?
You weren't using it?
I have my arm on it.
Come on, guys.
Come on, get it together.
Get it together.
Get it together now. Share that
Put your
pillow.
arm right here.
This is gonna sound pretentious, but I just always wish there was a longer denouement, if you will, to Dark Souls, because this time I really thought they were gonna do it. You go to the kiln of the first flame, and I am thinking in my head, oh my god, here we go, final zone, let's do this, get ready, climax of the game. The Lords of Cinder have been like destroyed, let's go, I'm ready. You go up a ramp, you fight the last boss, and the game ends. Just
Which ending did you do?
I lit the flame.
You just linked the fire?
Lit the fire.
Well, that's your problem.
Lit the flame. I'm a good
My
person.
ending was, no, that's the bad ending.
How is that bad?
It's bad. The lighting the fire keeps the status quo, bro.
The cycle
I'm keeping that
continues.
status
cycle
quo.
continues.
All right, I'm not.
The cycle
No,
continues
the
if you
cycle
choose the
continues.
darkness as well.
Well,
It's
Not-
the same.
not
Yeah,
really.
that was the whole point of Dark Souls 2 ending. Is the reason you don't get a choice is because the game is telling you, regardless of which choice you make, the cycle will continue.
But
Because
in
if
this
you light
one-
the fire, you obviously continue the cycle. But if they say in Dark Souls, if you choose darkness, eventually embers will come.
Yeah.
So the cycle continues no matter what.
'Kay.
However, there's a really interesting. There's like two more endings
there are
that are
two other
very,
endings.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, now that that's out of the way, good. That's my only negative thing. It always just ends a little too short for
Here's
me.
the thing, though.
Because I give my life for so long, it's always a taxing trial, this huge adventure, and it's probably my fault for expecting some huge, like, oh, here we go, like ending, and then
Here's
you
the
know,
thing, dude.
it's always just like quick.
The other ending, the ending I did, where you give the fire seeker the eyes, and then you betray or whatever, and like you put out all fire in the world. Like it has like a cinematic. There's like stuff that happens. She like talks
Cool.
to you.
That's
it's like
cool.
awesome. It was awesome. And at the end, she goes, because I did the one where you don't kill her. And I go, and she just goes like, "Can you still hear my voice?" And it was like awesome. It was
Cool.
such a
Oh,
good
yeah, where it
ending.
just went dark, yeah.
Yeah, it was so good.
That is cool.
And there's that other one
So you just chose the lame end.
where you become like the Lord of Hollows or whatever. I did that one too.
That one's like really complicated.
Did you do
right?
the marriage one?
Yeah, I did that one
That's
too.
to me that's the best one.
That one
That
I
was
have.
great,
I don't
yeah.
know what
Love that
happens in
quest
one.
line.
What happens in that one?
Brian, can you explain that quest line?
Sure, okay, so there's two characters you run into the game called Anri and Horus. And they have a quest line that you follow throughout. Where's it start? It's like at the end of Road of Sacrifice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right to the beginning of the Farron Woods or something like. Is that what it's called? I forgot.
Yeah.
It's not
that,
Farron Woods, is it?
Crucifixion one.
It's that
Crucifixion Woods.
circular
Boom.
area, and Henry's sitting on the stone. And Horus is
Yeah,
right
so
there.
pretty much they're doing a quest line of
the
trying
Road of
to
Sacrifice is
kill
different,
Aldrich, one of the Lords of Cinder. So you'll be going through there. You will run into Henri again in the catacombs. What are the catacombs called? I always forget what it's called.
It's
I thought they were.
It's something catacombs.
Catacombs of the Deep?
Of like
No.
Kyrix or something like that.
Kyrix.
Something.
So yeah, you run into Henri there. She is separated from Horus. And
Interesting, because you're a male character.
yeah, if you're a male, she's
Flips
female.
gender.
If you're female,
so you
it's a
can't
male.
be gay in this game, which is a bummer. Like you can't be a lesbian.
Oh, because you have to marry that person.
If you choose a female, it switches
Yeah.
the. I mean, I guess if you wear that ring, but whatever.
Anyways, so then you run into her again. She's looking for Horus. he's eventually down below in the smoldering lake.
This bummed me out.
Where you fight him. Huber's bummed. I don't think there's a way you could save him necessarily.
Yeah, I called Brad. I was like, hey man, like, can you save him? He just like attacked me in like some cave. Brad's like, no happy endings.
Yeah, there's no happy endings.
Where was he? I missed
Smoldering Lake, when you come
yeah.
down, and there's like the ballista shooting at you, whatever. It's like to the right of you or something like that.
Like all the
yeah,
way
by
in.
the crabs?
Yeah.
I didn't go over there.
Then you can fight him, or you do fight
He
him, I
just turns
guess.
he just attacks
Yeah,
him.
and you take, I think you get his shield and you show it to Henri. Then she will eventually be at Irithyll, the Sea of Irithyll, later on. The whole reason they're doing this journey is to kill Aldrich or whatever, but they get separated. So I think there's 2 different ways you can do it. You can have her fight Aldrich with you if you don't do the Hollow quest line or whatever. So, or she'll be dead before that.
Yeah, when I found her, she was already dead with the crucifix in her face.
Right.
I came in and she was just lying there dead.
I'm trying to think of what you didn't do then.
So I saw her later on, but then I went back to explore more and then found Horus, killed him, and then when I went back to her, she was already gone.
She booked it already?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I inadvertently did most of the Hollow storyline because
Me too. Yeah.
After you do the 5 level ups and the guy dies, the sorcerer guy, that lady shows up from the dark, who's a dark wraith or whatever, and
I
then
never got
eventually,
Yeah, you didn't get that.
yeah,
My guy just died.
oh, she showed up next to him, like where he was, and then eventually she's like, Henri is there, hanging in the hidden, hanging out in the hidden chamber of the Dark Moon, which wasn't the tower that you walk across the invisible bridge to get to that other covenant. So I don't know where that room was. I never found it, but
It was
they were like, he's ready to marry you and be your spouse.
it was like where you
whoa.
found Gwendolyn in Dark Souls 1. It was like
Yeah.
behind that statue, the Dark Moon, where they all were. Anyways, it's in
the
there.
boss room.
Yeah, it's in there.
I love the
How do you get into it?
just the Souls community. Like every time you would have some nostalgic area, the notes on the ground would kind of be like, here we go again, or like,
Yeah.
oh, remember this area? It's cool.
I think you bring up a really good point, Huber, and it's something, one of the most common criticisms I've seen about the game, and I'm curious what you guys think about it, because I think I have a slightly different opinion about it than a lot of people that don't like it, where they think the game is overly referential, where it's pandering too much. So including things
Referential?
like, what's that?
Referential?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I say?
I just didn't hear what you said.
Oh, yeah, overly referential. Sorry,
Yeah.
my words slur together. And things like Orlando and Gwendolyn being Aldrich and
That was so awesome.
the new Onion Knight and all this stuff, that it doesn't have that same element of mystery as the other Dark Souls games. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, the thing is, it's a sequel to a new game already. I think a lot of people are okay with Dark Souls because it's brand new, but this game is going to continue the story to some extent. So there's going to be callbacks.
Definitely.
I mean, like that. And the whole game is kind of like the universe of Dark Souls is like time is distorted and everything like that. And things are being brought together like that. So you're bound to run into things from previous games. Like I can understand if people like Siegward or whatever being too much like Siegmeyer. I assume it's just like Siegmeyer kind of reborn or something like that. There's
Yeah.
no concrete answer. But it didn't really bug me like that. Like, it was kind of payoffs to me in some ways, especially when you get to an Orlando.
Yeah. Oh God.
Well, that's the thing. This is the only thing I've been looking forward to saying this. Actually, I told Brad, I was like, dude, I can't wait to the podcast because like I want to know if people share this view of on Orlando. It's like in Dark Souls 1, you get there and your mind just explodes with like, whoa, this is the game. Like looking at it, and in Dark Souls 3, it's the reverse, or what I felt, because when you get there, you're looking back.
Yeah.
At the entire game that you just journeyed, and it's like, yo, that's the game all right there. And it just gave me chills. I thought it was such a cool way to like reintroduce a location.
Yeah.
And just the whole vibes of nostalgia, I didn't think were pandering. I thought it was like a Metal Gear Solid 4.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what I
That's exactly
thought.
what I
Yeah.
thought.
of
Yeah.
just so epic. Like, this is it. This is the climax, culmination. So
I mean, like,
Sorry, go ahead.
in line with that, I mean, it's funny because like, just because of the nature of the other games in the series, like, because it is a straight sequel, like it has a 3 in the name, so like, people wouldn't be like, Mass Effect 3 has too many of the same characters and references. Like, it's just a funny thing about the nature of these games that's even possible to be a complaint because it's a sequel. But like, some of my favorite moments were finding Quilana Quaylana's body, and then right, she was the and not Quaylog, that's the other one, and then finding the blacksmith giant body.
Oh yeah, I was so
like,
bummed.
I got like so sad,
Yeah.
and like everyone had messages on the ground like, "Oh, poor fellow," or like, "Oh, good friend," and like falling to their knees.
That hurt.
Dude, I'm getting emotional.
I turned the corner and I was just like, no, and then I was like, I'm being chased by 4 knights. I gotta get out of here. But oh god.
Oh, that hurt.
I'm getting sad just thinking about it.
And the battle in Ornstein and Smo's like old chamber and just seeing it all ruined in there.
Mhm, yeah.
And
Destroyed.
it's cool because in Dark Souls 1, it is an ancient world. And you are in this world and you are thinking about all these ancient beings and these just this epic history and these battles. And playing Dark Souls 3, thinking back about the ancient world, I'm thinking back about myself in Dark Souls 1, that character is a legend and ancient and old, and how he had an impact on this world and fought Ornstein and Smo and went through that whole thing. So it was just like...
And Link to the Fire Lord
yeah.
didn't.
Yeah. So like that character
Yeah.
is a character in the world. It's just so cool thinking about it.
I find it interesting that they actually made some canon-esque decisions, like saying that Gwendolyn survived Dark Souls 1 pretty much. That he was later devoured.
Right. Yeah, totally ruined, really.
Yeah, I was very surprised they did stuff like that.
Can
Yeah.
you fill us in about that? What's going on?
So Aldrich, because Aldrich is described in the beginning of the game as like an amorphous blob, right? And you're like trying to get up to Aldrich and get up to Aldrich, and then you get to Aldrich and it's this like beautiful, cool-looking goddess who's like a really amazing character design. And then if you beat Aldrich and take the soul to the transposition lord guy, and
Love
you get
that guy.
yeah, that guy's amazing. And you get you can get Gwendolyn's bow, moonlight bow or whatever. And then the description of that bow says that Aldrich devoured and like consumed and
Slowly.
overwhelmed Gwendolyn, and like overtook it. And I mean, like the weird thing is with these worlds, like the way that the nature of the worlds work is like it is all parallel, you know. So like yeah, this game takes place in one where like Gwendolyn didn't die or like Gwendolyn's spirit like reformed or something. But yeah, so like Aldrich is Gwendolyn sort of, which is awesome.
Cool.
Was anyone pumped besides me to find out who the firstborn was finally? Gwen's firstborn? Did they talk about in Dark Souls 1? That
I got
was
the
like
ring. Who was it?
banished. It was the Nameless King at the end, who you fight at
Damn, that's the one boss I didn't do because I didn't ring the bell.
You didn't
do the
That's the best
I know. I didn't do
so
it.
intense.
I haven't done it. I'll go and do it. I've been so busy. I'll do it like this week.
That fight is intense.
Well, I
love
don't.
that
We
fight.
probably
I heard
shouldn't
it
talk
was the
about that
hardest
anymore.
fight.
Then
I heard
What's
it was
that?
the hardest fight.
maybe we should talk about it then. Let Ian experience it.
Sure.
But it was a payoff for me, dude.
Sure. All right.
Especially if you paid attention to the community, I guess, which we all kind of do. People have been arguing about who the firstborn was since Dark Souls 1 came out.
Yeah.
People thought it was like Solaire or anyone else, but it was just nice, very from software to me to kind of like a kind of concrete answer.
Wrap things
For
up.
sure.
There was a lot of concrete answers.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
The item descriptions too, though, very very telling. And Brad and I have been trying to figure this out too. The whole like Ornstein and Smo thing, because it's like you fight them both. No, I might have an obsession with them, those two guys.
You
but I
do.
apologize. So you fight them in the room in Dark Souls 1 and you kill them, but then when you get their armor, it's like, yo, Ornstein like left to go defend this dragon area and stuff. So it's like, what?
Yeah, I think you
Are there
find-
just parallel timelines?
Yeah, was it a
or-
real Ornstein he fought back in Dark Souls 1 because he's in Dark Souls 2 or
Yeah.
something like that also?
Oh, the old dragon.
Was it
Slayer.
real or not? But I think Smo was real for sure. They talk about like he was the last knight or something like that.
Yeah.
Even though he was technically never a knight because he ate all his victims and Gwyn would not let him be a knight.
Smote
So
it?
I don't know what's going on
maybe,
anymore.
yeah.
Yeah. Gotta
What-
figure that out.
That other character in the game ate people too. The Aldrich of the Deep.
Yeah, he devoured everybody.
Yeah, and that's how he became.
Like, yeah, in his boss room, there's just like skeletons in the floor
I kept
and in
expecting
him.
like Manus to show up somehow.
I was
like,
very
oh.
surprised. Yeah, I wasn't. I thought
was
there was gonna be
good-
way more abyss
Oh,
in
that
that
was
game.
that was my one question. Was the wolf in the forest area?
Old Farron Wolf.
Who was that wolf?
Don't know.
we
Maybe
know?
Sif.
Is
I
it
don't know.
Sif? I don't know.
Maybe I'm not sure. Or it's a new wolf or something like that.
I mean, it's called Farron, like Old Wolf of Farron or whatever.
Yeah.
Old Farron Wolf.
The wolf's cool. That was,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
That's very cool.
So actually, that's a nice segue. That actually, okay. thinking of it all, that was my favorite zone.
Really?
To think about it.
Poison zone. Wow.
The poison zone, because and yeah, I usually hate that stuff, and for whatever reason I really enjoyed it because it was like this mini quest. You had to deactivate the flames. You could go up to the tower and kind of see where the flames were. And I just felt so suffocated in that area. Like I was in this deep bog and just all the trees bearing down on me. Can't move. I'm poisoned. That zone was just, it was so memorable.
That is in my opinion, that's one of the best zones in the game because I felt like there were more things to discover in that zone than a lot of the other ones. For example, just going and seeing the Mushroom Men from Dark Souls 1.
Yeah.
You had to hunt for that.
That was depressing too.
Right, and it was depressing. It was just this little thing that you could kind of dart off in all of these directions, and it felt like there was something waiting for you there. Or when the giant wolf wizards, which is one of my favorite enemy designs in the game, they're all just huddled next to each other, and if you kill them, you get a reward for each one, but it's quite an undertaking trying to take them all
Did
out
you
at
guys
once.
find Elizabeth's mushroom there?
I did.
No, where is that?
It's like in there's a little cave or something like that. I forgot. You get some like an Ulasil spell or something like that. So it's kind of hinting at the fact that Ulasil, I don't know if that was Ulasil before or stuff is starting to form into there. But they said the lore behind whatever Farron Woods is something about when the wolf, or no, when the Abyss Watchers became Lords of Cinder, I think they said. That's when it became poisoned and corrupted. I'm not exactly sure why. But it's kind of interesting to me why it became poison after that.
Yeah. That area was super cool, too, because it starts at the Road of Sacrifice, then Crucifixion Woods, and then you fight the Crystal Sage, and then there's those two guys over on the stairs. You go down into Farron Swamp. Like, it all felt like really... And they're all big open areas, so it felt really cool and connected, and you had like a real choice about where to go and how to tackle it.
Just unbelievable.
It was
That's when
really,
I was freaking
really
out with
cool.
Bossman. I called him. I'm like, dude, level
Also,
design.
poison in this game does not seem to be a problem.
No.
I was
It is
just
not
like
a problem.
poisoned all the time. I
Yeah,
was
it's
like,
way
whatever.
less of a problem now.
Toxic even wasn't even that
Yeah.
bad.
The build up that you were talking about lighting different torches, I thought was neat. I think there are times where the Soul series surprises you with a boss in a really effective way, but there are also a lot of other times where I'll just sort of stumble into a boss and it doesn't feel all that memorable. And I love, like, I knew a boss was behind those doors when I was lighting those torches, and that fight is just so epic and memorable, and the mechanics with it are so cool.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that's something that Dark Souls 3 does better than maybe any other Souls game, is even the fights that I thought were easy, I felt like the designers really went out of their way to give you a different sort of twist, or just something to kind of keep you on your toes. And I think a really good example of that, and I haven't seen too many people praising this fight, is the Ancient Dragon. He ends up dying in one hit, but I love the idea that the boss fight is just sort of this elaborate level, and you're kind of working your way to this one moment.
And
that's
the
so cool.
whole fight, you're just like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit,
Yeah.
oh shit, oh
Right.
shit, I gotta get out of here. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
It was funny. Dude, that whole, speaking of the Abyss Watchers fight, like the entire dragon, Path of the Dragon, that whole thing, the secret areas in this game are bananas. Like, I love how secret they are. Like the one, like you first see in the Irithyll dungeon, like you see the people doing the Path of the Dragon, like those frozen people doing the Path of the Dragon's gesture there, like frozen there, and you're like looking over and you're like, okay, that looks like Duke's Archives or something. I'm like, that's got to be something, you know. And then later on, you get that gesture and you're like, I know what I must do. And then you go and you do the gesture. You get taken to the Archdragon Peak, which is really weird because it looks like you fall asleep and then wake up there.
I was wondering about that.
I was like, is this a dream? Like, is this a weird... And then you get like... it's the only other place in the game where you get teleported in the video. Like, it's a very interesting area. But then that area is like... it gets really tough at the end. There's the Nameless King, who everyone loves and says is the hardest fight that I just didn't do. Because the game says... to follow the path of the dragon, don't ring this bell. So I didn't ring the bell because I thought like the Dragon Covenant would like shut off. You know, and I'm like, I gotta get that Dragon Covenant.
Yeah.
So then, but like after you get the Twinkling, I think, Dragon Torso, Twinkling.
Yeah,
those are
something like that.
fun.
Yeah.
But then like, then you have to go back to Abyss Watchers and fight that like
Hawkwood.
mopey guy.
Hawkwood, yeah.
From the beginning, and that fight is so awesome because when you beat him, he's just like. you're worthy. You're more of a
Yeah,
dragon
you're a true
than I
dragon
ever
or something
was,
like
or
that.
whatever. And then you get the twinkling dragon head. It's awesome. And like the dragon armor in this game is really cool. Like you turn into a dragon, and then the torso does these crazy claws, and the head like it's a giant like cartoony kind of dragon head that shoots fire out of it. It's pretty neat.
I think Dark Souls 3 might have the best enemy design out of the series, in my opinion. Like, for a Dark Souls game, there are definitely a lot of humanoid enemies that you can walk around and backstab and all of that stuff. But even those fights, I think, are more interesting because the shields will do the thing where they'll try to knock you away.
Mm-hmm.
And just, there are so many weird creatures. The spider ladies,
Dude, those things
limbs
are
in cages.
The
ones with
baby,
the hair?
baby
Yep.
spider things in the Irithyll dungeon
Oh
or
my
whatever.
goodness.
Yep.
Good God.
The creepy
Yes.
lantern guys that suck away your health super quickly.
Oh, those
I
things.
just every single area had an identity to it, and I'll remember it. Like I there's not an area in that game. There's not like what is that late game area in Dark Souls 1
What?
with the giant dinosaurs and
Ungora.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
Irithyll,
Islith, Lost Islith.
Yeah, Lost
yeah.
Islith,
I don't love Lost
I don't think anyone
Islith,
likes that
but
part.
There's no Lost Islith to
Maybe.
me in Dark Souls.
I mean,
3.
there is.
There is,
Smoldering Lake
technically.
literally is Lost
No,
Islith.
I'm just
but it's-
saying
No, I know,
in
but
terms
it's
of
like
quality.
way cooler.
Right,
Like that.
right.
Oh my god! Like that giant worm thing. That the weird. I don't know. Like my experience of that area was like I was talking to Justin and Jelma. Like he did it the other way than I did. He went straight for that worm and like tried to fight it. Right. I ended up going like. I don't know if I fell. I ran to the middle and went down a hole in the middle of the lake into the crypts underneath. And then I did all that first and came around to the bonfire behind the worm. Then I came up and the ballista or whatever, the Avalon or whatever it is, was still shooting. And so there was a note that just said, here. So I stood there.
Such good notes.
I know, it was perfect. I stood there, and there was a little bit of a rock in front of me. So the thing kept shooting at me, but it couldn't hit me.
Nice.
But then it was also going straight through the worm. So
I killed the worm that way,
The
too.
ballista kills the worm.
Nice.
It was
Oh, man.
awesome.
I'd fought that thing
Yeah,
just
it
one
was
on one.
sweet.
I was like,
Me
let's
too.
go, worm.
Yeah.
But it felt like a really cool
That's cool.
puzzle.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because I figured, like, the reason I didn't try to fight the worm was because the minute I walked over there, it shot me into the air and I just insta-died. So I thought it was like a don't go over here kind of a thing. But yeah, that whole area was pretty bananas.
And just like the fire demon, the old like demon king down there.
Oh, yeah.
Just the there's so much, I mean, it's nothing new to Dark Souls, but just the mystery and the lore and, why is that thing there? Who, like, what did this thing do in its life? Like,
And all the old bodies
so
of
mysterious.
the old enemies
Like,
everywhere.
I always think of like Fellowship of the Ring when the Balrog comes
Yeah.
out, how he was, the Balrogs fled and hid for thousands of years. It's just like so powerful. Dark Souls gives me powerful feelings.
I think you touched on it really well. To me, Dark Souls 3 like expertly toes that line between being familiar and that kind of the comfort that comes from the familiarity, while never feeling stale or regurgitating the same things. Like, I was constantly surprised by that game. Like, I remember the first time I went on the Road to Sacrifices, and you see those little black monsters, and they sprout wings. And you're just like, what the hell is going on?
yeah, oh yeah, those guys. And if the other one screams, then all of them freak out and come after you. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, don't let that happen. And fighting where you get the brigand's daggers and fighting that like naked lady with the like butcher.
the man-eater Mildred of
Yeah,
that
it
game.
was pretty
Man-eater
funny,
Brigand daggers, good segue into weapons.
dude.
How
Brigand daggers.
perfectly balanced this game is.
That's actually not
Other
true.
than magic.
Yeah.
Sorry. I knew
No,
you were gonna
but
say
for
that.
you, it's perfectly balanced.
Yeah, for me, yeah. Really felt like leveling up was way more of a had more of an impact on this game. You really had to decide where you wanted to put your points. To equip and use heavy weapons in this game is a huge commitment, and you're sacrificing a lot to do it. But you're also getting the reward of like a big, powerful weapon.
I think they knocked it out of the park with the upgrade materials as well.
Yeah.
I feel like they gave them to you at a rate where you always had a bunch of stuff to experiment with
Yes.
and try out, but not so much that it felt meaningless.
Yeah.
Like I think I tried more types of weapons because of the way they handled those materials than I have ever
Me
had
too,
before.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I upgraded a few to like maximum. The best thing about this game too for me is because I play like the exact opposite way of you. I basically play this like it's Bloodborne, where I don't use a shield and I have two swords always. And the paired swords are really cool in this, but also just like pairing a katana with like another thing or whatever.
Yeah.
and the Ubadashi and the Onikiri or whatever, where you do that leap move, super cool.
Yeah.
But
So
like
cool.
all the paired swords are amazing. But like that felt viable in this game for the first time in a Dark Souls game. Like Dark Souls 1 just didn't have dual wield, so you couldn't. And then Dark Souls 2 had it, but it was kind of clunky, and there were a few parts in that game where it was like, all right, I have to use a shield here, or I'm just gonna die.
Oh,
'Cause
no
you're
way,
too
dude.
Slow.
I power stanced the 2 ultra great swords in
Power
that game.
stance.
Really?
Yeah, like the heaviest weapons I could find.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. But like in this game, like I could play the whole game like it was Bloodborne, and I loved it. And I used the Bloodborne ring, basically the Pontiff's left eye, and then I fought that lizard to get the Pontiff's right eye.
Yeah.
And like, oh man, game is amazing. Also, that lizard,
I love when you do that, Ian.
there were so many.
You like talking,
Yeah.
you're talking about it, and then you're like, "Oh God, it's
Yeah.
just so good."
Well, like fighting that lizard was crazy because like it just trounced me like the first couple of times I tried it, right? Because I was just like not doing the right thing. I don't know. And then I switched to a katana that had like, or no, I switched to my warden. I upgraded the warden things because I was trying bleed weapons. So I was just like trying different weapons on this, and the bleed damage just did like insane amounts of damage to that
Nice.
thing. Because I'm like, it's a beast. It makes sense. I
Yeah, you
guess.
put the bleed buff on
But
it
like,
too.
oh my god, I killed it in like
Bleed it
in
out.
like 20 seconds. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was so much so cool.
I want to talk about things that they brought over from Bloodborne, kind of.
Yeah.
And what do you guys think about them? Like visceral attacks on a lot of like bigger enemies. Like I noticed it on like the giant crystal lizard at the
Guard
beginning.
break 'em?
Yeah.
Dude, I used for the first time ever in Dark Souls. I used the kick so much.
Did you use that ring?
Someone would shield up. There's a kick ring.
There's a kick ring,
you
yeah.
get it from
Patches.
patches. It like ups your kick by like 30%.
Oh, I'm gonna get that. Yeah, I would kick people, and I have a great axe, and then you would just great axe them in the belly, like slam them down.
Yeah.
So
So
cool.
satisfying.
This is the first Dark Souls game where I played the entire thing with a two-handed weapon,
Nice.
and I will never play with anything other than that.
Really?
Like the two-handed sword that I used,
Which one did you use?
I ended up going with the Fume Ultra Great
Fume
Sword,
Ultra
yeah.
Greatsword.
and but I had fun.
Yeah.
I had fun just
so good.
hitting
It's
got a
dudes
killer
with that
R2, man.
giant sword.
Fast
It
weapons.
was, they nerfed that thing
They
super
did.
heavy right before
They did.
release.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So it used to be broken. Like it did so much damage that it
That
needed
was,
to be
like,
nerfed.
silly.
And now it's extremely powerful, but not quite broken.
Yeah.
Like you can make a case for other great swords now. But
Yeah. The Chaos Blade, because I'm a Dex build, obviously. Like, obviously, the Chaos Blade is like hilarious. Like you do a lot of damage with. I mean, it hurts you too, but not even really prohibitively. Like, I was fighting the end boss, like Last Cinder or whatever the hell his name is, Spirit of the Cinder, Spirit
Yeah,
of
close
Flame,
enough. Something
whatever.
like that.
Yeah, and I fought him with my regular mains, and then I fought him with like various other weapons. Oh, the Dancer's Blades are my kind of main, and then the Ubadachi and whatever. But then I was like getting beat, and then I switched to the Chaos Blade, and I like beat his phase 1 in like less than 30 seconds. I was like, whoa, like this is crazy.
Did you guys do any PvP at all?
Yeah,
I did.
Lot
I did
of-
a
lot
lot
of
of
people
PvP
invaded me.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me your quick thoughts on that.
I'm bad at it.
I enjoyed it. I guess I don't know what to say. I think my favorite PvP moments were with the what is it? The Mound Maker
Yeah.
Covenant, because just the trolls that you could do where you could like be friendly with somebody and then just at the last minute betray them.
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
thought it was really fun playing mind games with people like that. But otherwise, it was just Dark Souls PvP. Like I get really anxious during any multiplayer games. Like if I'm playing a tense match of a MOBA or Hearthstone, whatever I'm doing, like I get really into it. Overwatch, whatever it is. But there's nothing like going one-on-one in Dark Souls.
Very personal.
The only
Yeah.
time I get so mad is when they don't follow the rules and they use healing items during
Well,
the duel.
that's the thing I like about this game is because Dark Souls 1, the top of the Killing of the First Flame was like the honorable duel zone, right? And then the forest was like no holds barred, you can do whatever the hell you want zone, right? And this one sort of mirrors that because after Pontiff Sullivan, that little half circle, to me it seems like the honorable battle zone. I think I fought people and none of them used healing
No,
items.
I had two people.
That's like a
Really?
I think a
Cheese
Fight
me
Club
out.
spot kind of where
Yeah,
people
that's
go.
where like
That's
people
the
like
spot.
it's like the honorable duel spot. And then the forest here, dude, I had one part where because I was in the Watch Dogs of Farron Covenant for most of the game, and so randomly I just get like summoned, right? So I get summoned into the Farron Woods. They're on the top part, the Crucifixion Woods. They're over by where those two big guys are on the thing, and there were more phantoms in there than I thought was possible. There was me, another Watchdog of Farron, which was awesome because I had a teammate. You know, I was like, okay, we're here to stop these guys.
Yeah.
And then it was the guy and 2 summons and a red phantom. So there was 6 of us.
Yeah.
I thought the limit was 5.
Yeah, they
6,
increased
yeah.
it. In
But
this.
I was just like, it was insanity. Like, and I
love it.
held out, and like everyone was healing and just using all their stuff, and like everyone was going insane and like calling crabs over, and like everything went nuts. And like me and the other Watchdog of Farron, I think, took out 2 of them. I took out one of the summons, and he took out the red phantom, and then he died, and then the last 2 guys ganged up on me and got me because I was out of healing stuff, and like it was amazing. It was so good.
Somehow the only game that I'm patient in is Dark Souls. Like, I don't invade people, but I love when people invade me because all right, let's go. And I love when they try to like bait. They'll try to bait you into like an area with enemies, and I just will not move.
Yeah.
I will stand there out of general principle for an hour if I have to. You're not wasting my time. I'm wasting your time. If you wanna,
I like to flip it like that.
yeah,
too.
if you want to come and attack me, fine. If not, I'm gonna be standing right here, not moving. I love it. I love it.
My favorite was we got invaded one time. I summoned someone, I can't remember what boss it was. We were fighting some boss, and like we were fighting this guy, and we almost killed him, and then he healed up, and then he ran out to try to kite us out to other enemies.
You're just like,
and then I was just like, nah, and I just walked into the boss. I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna deal with this. Like, I'm right here. Like, it was pretty funny.
I want to bring something up, Ben. I know you and me kind of talk about this. I've talked to you about this before. One of my biggest complaints with Bloodborne was kind of the NPC quest lines.
Yeah, it's something I wanted to bring up as well.
And I thought they were much better in this game, a lot more to go through, especially if you did like Sigurd's quest lines. I don't know if you guys did any of that.
Sigvald or whatever?
Sigurd.
Oh,
Yeah,
his
I
quest
did-
line is so good.
I did his, except I finished it after I'd already beaten Yorm.
Oh,
the
okay,
giant.
okay.
So I didn't have the ending.
Okay.
But I did all the other stuff. Like, I got him out of the well. I freed him from the jail.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting that fire monster with him was so awesome.
Yeah, and he gives you like the brew.
And then he just, like-
or whatever at the
Yeah.
end.
And then he just falls asleep immediately. I laughed so hard.
He gives
at
you
that.
toast.
That's like a Bjor shout out right
I'm
there
bummed
from
I
Demon
missed that.
Souls.
Bread,
Oh, dude, it was the most jolly thing in the
Yeah, I
world,
know.
dude.
I'm
You
so bummed.
need to do New Game Plus
Yeah.
and get Sigurd or whatever. Like, he gives you a toast emote.
So
That-
really good.
The emote is amazing, or the gesture is amazing because you sit down and you just go like this. You're holding
Yeah.
a mug up. You're just waiting, and then it doesn't finish the gesture until you move.
Cool.
So when you hit move, it goes like this, and then you stand up.
So
So like,
cool.
there was one time where I was like co-oping with people, and then we all started toasting each other. It was so awesome. Oh my god!
can I tell you guys like the biggest BM Ben I've done since
Oh,
Thor
God.
Absolutely.
Oh god!
So my new favorite emote is the one where you just fall flat on the ground and
Oh, I
spread out.
love that
I love
one.
that emote
Absolutely.
so much, and so I've made it a personal rule for myself. I was just helping people with the Nameless King boss and Soul of Cinder. Those were the 2 bosses I was helping people with, and I made up a rule in my head. It was like, if you don't like greet the people that you're with, me, or if you somebody else, like, you have to greet everybody. You either have to bow or you have to wave. You have to show some sort of recognition.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what I would do is we would get in the boss fight and I would just lay down by the door
man,
and let
that's
them
so
die.
BM.
And then they would like I had fought the boss so many times that it was pretty easy for me to like roll through his attacks. They would try to bring the boss to me. I would wait until the last minute, roll, go all the way to the other end of the arena, and then just
Fall
lay back
asleep.
down.
Oh my god, dude.
God, you're an asshole.
Oh, I had a lot of fun
That is
with it.
extreme.
No, but you
man.
gotta
No, you
show
have to
recognition for your summons. They're
Yep.
taking the time to help you.
A
You
thing
should be
happened to
careful.
me sometimes where I would summon people in, and then one of them would disconnect immediately. Were they
Really?
doing that intentionally? It happens
I don't
like
know.
a lot.
I don't know. That didn't happen.
That
to
like
me.
never happened to me
It
either.
was weird. It seemed like they were doing it on purpose. But
Brad, to get back to your point, the thing that I wanted to say, I mean, obviously we're all huge fans of Bloodborne and all the Souls games, but what Dark Souls 3 did to me more than the series has since Dark Souls 1 is the world really felt alive. It felt like you had all these different characters that were going off and doing their own things, and sometimes you'd show up and they'd be there and you'd be like, what? Sometimes they'd be off having their own adventures, and the areas just felt like they kind of had more room to breathe. One of my biggest complaints about Dark Souls 2 is you would get to an area that seemed really, really cool, and then 15 minutes later you'd be through the whole thing, and you'd take a couple steps and there would be a bonfire, and I felt like I was getting lost more, or I was staying in places longer and could appreciate them.
Yeah, Irithyll Dungeon was kind of like that for me. Like, I legit got lost in there for a little bit.
It gets really confusing, and there are a few places in that game where I was like, "Where am I supposed to be?"
I think that's an incredible mark of achievement. If you can make a game and you can make a level, and you as the player always feel like you're missing something.
Yeah.
Like that happened to me constantly in Dark Souls 3, where I would go down a path and then I would stop and be like, "Wait, no. I think there's another path down there that I would have to go check out." And then you would go check out that path, and it would lead to this other crazy section, and you get all this loot and stuff.
It makes Bloodborne feel very linear.
It does.
It's a much bigger game,
That's why I love Dark Souls 3 the most, is because there were just so many ways to go. Even if it was just some silly, you go down a ladder and it goes to a door which comes back to the area you were just in. It's just like there were so many nooks and crannies. And
yeah, I totally agree.
And we kind of talked about this before, but I liked the judicious use. Oh, I have another thing I want to say too, but I like the judicious use of old enemies from the previous games. Like the first time when I was in Farron Swamp,
oh my God,
and I go to the right,
Knight.
and I'm in the knee deep water, and then I just hear that little. And I'm like, oh no,
the basilisk.
it's these frog boys.
Yeah.
And then the frog boys
First
come
time,
at you.
boy.
And I'm just like, woo! And then I got cursed. Oh man, it was so funny to see those things again. But also, those little rotund flamethrower guys in the smoldering lake. You know, remember them from Irithyll, or from Ivalice or whatever. But the best thing about this game that I think the other games tried to do, and I don't know if it's just the technology or what being there now, but this game nails the scale. Things are huge in this game. Like the rotted greatwood stood up one time while I was fighting it, and it was really funny because he was too big to stand, so he fell back over. But he was like, I don't even know, 400 feet tall.
Yeah.
I was like looking
You made
up,
the Tower Knight look like a little boy.
Yeah.
That moment when you first fall through the floor and you're not expecting it is an incredible moment.
And when the ancient dragon flies up and you're just like, "Bleh!" Oh god, there's so many moments where you're just like, I am really kind of hitting this head on.
Can we each say our favorite boss?
Oh my god,
I'd love to hear your guys' favorite boss.
Sure.
You start with Huber.
Mine was the princes.
Two princes.
The 2-on-1.
Oh,
the what they say when you go in there. There's a little story.
Yeah, they're
context to
hiding
it.
from linking the fire.
Yeah, and
they were.
I just
Ashen
love
ones?
a good 2-on-1 duel. I just love it.
Yeah, when he
not
killed
exactly
the first.
2-on-1.
Yeah, it's kind of like
brother,
a 1.5.
Then he
on.
gets on his shoulder.
So it's
yeah, that's awesome. I
This
love that
game
fight.
likes androgyny.
It was an
Because
intimate
I thought
fight.
that was a woman at first until I read the description of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool.
That one, and randomly, Champion Gundar. You fight him
Where
a
it's in
second
the,
time?
yeah, where it's the dark.
That place is cool.
That was a really cool fight as well. I liked it a lot. I just love duels. I love classic duels.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, there was enough variety where I didn't feel like everything was a duel, which was nice.
Yeah.
Like Dark Souls 2 had a lot of dual boss
a lot of
fights, I
big
guess.
guys in Dark Souls too. Attack his leg.
Yeah. Circle and attack. Yeah. Roll left.
Roll left. I think my favorite fight, even though it's not a hard fight, is the Abyss Watchers. Just kind of the idea, when I fought the Abyss Watchers first time and you're fighting him one-on-one, then you see other Abyss Watchers come up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, I gotta fight 3 or whatever now. Then they start
Fighting
hitting
each
each other.
Yep.
So cool.
I feel what's so cool about the fight is I feel like you really have a lot of flexibility with how you approach it.
Oh, yeah.
You can play super defensively and let them get as much damage as possible, or you can play very aggressively and try to end the fight quickly. I don't know. There's just so much that you can do And I feel like every time, like a lot of Dark Souls bosses, I think it's sort of pattern recognition, and you sort of just get better to the point where it's a science. Like, okay, he's going to attack here and do this. Whereas I feel like with Abyss Watchers, because there were so many dudes, and you never really knew how things were going to go.
And you didn't know which ones were good or bad
right.
at first. I think their eyes glowing told you, but
yeah,
that the narrative of that fight is really awesome because like. There was that first surprise where I'm like, oh, one of these guys is on my team. Like, okay, that's awesome. And like the way it starts, where they're all fighting each other, and then one wins, Yeah. And then you beat him finally, and you're like, oh, sweet, I did it. And then he just gets back up, and he's stronger than before, and you're just like, oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, that did seem a little easy.
Oh yeah, I was doing too much damage. I was like, oh no,
I was like,
this is phase one.
Yeah, this is phase one. It was really cool.
I think that fight in New Game Plus changes slightly.
Really.
In the second phase, I think in the new game, no one else rises.
Oh.
But I'm pretty sure when I was in New Game Plus or whatever, they were rising in the second phase also.
Oh, weird. Yeah, in
so I think they
game,
might
no
change
one rises
bosses
in the
slightly.
second.
Someone probably knows.
Vati said he didn't notice many changes, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure though. They didn't do it for me my first time. I don't know if they do it.
They didn't raise for me in the second phase. In my
First time,
regular
right?
game.
Yeah.
I liked that boss a lot. Aldrich is my favorite. I just like.
Is that
I like her
the Ornstein and
design.
Smoke Chamber?
Yeah.
That one? Okay,
Yeah, I like its design. I mean,
Those
I don't know.
arrows were cool.
the arrows
cool
are awesome.
animation.
Like it looks like everything about the animations of that boss. The costume design was just bananas. I loved that like dress thing, and then like the fight was really interesting, and I liked how it changed through. I guess it's a he, but changed through like 3 different modes or whatever. It's like dark magic at first, and then fire magic, and the arrows, and oh man, it was cool. It was really cool, and just being in there, yeah, that fight was awesome. I want that armor. I wish that you could get that dress or whatever. Also, I loved the dancer. The dancer was so cool looking.
You can get that armor though.
Yeah, I RP'd as the dancer for like the entire last half of the game. I wore that armor and those swords.
Nice.
It's so awesome.
I think for me, my favorite fight is the Nameless King or King of Storms, whatever you want to say. Just because of the scale and the story that it told. Like, entering it, like walking... when I first triggered the bell and you had to, like, walk on the clouds. And I didn't know... When I dropped, I thought I might die. I wasn't sure that I was going to do that. And then to go through that, like, cloud door and have just the Dragon Rider come in... It just sets the tone in a wonderful way. And then the second phase of that fight, what happened sort of in between, it's pretty emotional, or at least it was emotional to me.
Oh man, I gotta go do this.
And what that fight asks of you, I felt like with a lot of the fights in Dark Souls 3, I thought they were all very, very interesting for the most part, except for the Deacons. I didn't really like that fight.
Oh, I kind of like that fight.
Cool. It was.
The Deacons was funny because at the time I was using the Brigand's daggers, and I had if you do damage, it heals yourself.
Yeah.
So I was I was like basically invincible unless I got cursed, because I would hit so many guys so quickly that it would just heal me up. And then my weapons would break, so I'd have to like.
The Deacons, I think, was cool by accident for me, because there was a moment late when they all surrounded the one I needed to kill. They
near the end.
They spawned up around it. I don't know if that's intentional or okay.
Yeah.
So I had to like carve my way through. It was cool.
But with the Nameless King, I think I did that fight quite a few times because I was determined to beat it by myself. And when I finished it, having that be the final thing that I did in Dark Souls 3 and having it feel like such a huge accomplishment, like the last thing I do in video games are rarely that satisfying. Like I really felt like not just within all of Dark Souls 3, but within that fight itself, I got better as a player. Oh, I loved it. It really, that's kind of how I felt with Orphan of Cause as real. I had to kind of buckle down and get good at that game, which I loved.
Yeah,
both those fights have payoff.
What's that?
Both those fights have payoff too, story-wise. At least for me, they did.
The peak felt like DLC. Or Peak.
I remember you saying that to me. Yeah,
because I felt like, unless you're like super crazy, really paying attention like that, it's really hard to find.
Really easy to miss. Real easy.
That was the one place I missed. I was happy with myself because I found the other 2 hidden areas. Did not find Archdragon Peak, went back there and it just felt like a DLC slice because I beat the game, credits rolled, done. Brad was like, "Oh, go to the place you missed," and I was like, "Okay, I will." But like, you beat the game, you still have the mentality of like, "All right, I'm done. I'll get back to it when I get back to it." And just like the next day, like going back to it, it's like, whoa, DLC come early, baby.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
Crazy. The secret areas are really funny to get, like Indiana Jonesing that bridge. I don't know if you broke it and then climbed down like a ladder. I broke it in the middle and rode it down.
Yeah,
which was really funny. And then like I knew about Archdrake and Pete because someone put a
sign
message down that said "Try gesture," and it had like 400 upvotes or something.
cool.
Oh, okay.
The best message in the whole game was so when you kill dragon armor. The one that has that big fire dragon that looks awesome next to it, like,
awesome.
And then you go through that door and you think it's gonna be some big crazy shit, and then you walk up the stairs and it's another bonfire, like immediately. There was I think that's where it is, where you go into the Grand Archives, right? Yeah, there's like literally a bonfire like 100 feet down the street.
Yeah.
And the best message right there just said, "Huh, it's a bonfire," and it had 2,000 upvotes. I was like, "Yep, that's." Like, because I literally, I saw it and I went, "Huh, it's a bonfire." And then I read the message and it said, "Huh, it's a bonfire."
I can remember I stopped after I beat Dragon Armor right there. I was like, all right, I'm not going.
Went back.
I'm not going that way.
backed.
I'm going to stop for now. I'm not going in there. Like, I'll do that later. And then I booted it up from that bonfire and went up, and it was another one. I was like, what's going on?
Because I backed and used my souls and then went back, and then I was like, oh, all right. It was like in Bloodborne when I fought the witch and then ported back, and then had to get back there just to get the rune item.
Oh yeah, you missed it.
Well, no, I didn't miss it. I went back intentionally first because I didn't want to die with all my souls, or my blood echoes. Because I knew I thought there was gonna be some crazy stuff, but then it was a dead end with an item. It was so funny because I went back and then went back there to get it, and I was like, oh, all right.
It's crazy to me that they've been doing these games for about 7 years. I mean, Demon Souls came out in 2009.
Yeah.
And you just don't see this very often where they come out. They've been coming out at a very regular pace now.
Yeah.
Past 3 years, we've had one every year.
Like,
yeah.
I'm not ready to stop playing Souls games.
DLC coming, baby.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
the DLC, then it'll stop.
It's crazy because I
think they're gonna do.
Sorry to cut you off, then.
I think they're gonna do a different game.
It was like after Dark Souls 2, I felt fine. Beat Dark Souls 2, didn't think about it. Like when I beat Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1, thought about it for months.
I still
beat Dark
think about
Souls 2
Demon
and was kind of done. Bloodborne comes out, totally revitalizes, new setting, new everything. 10 out of 10.
Bloodborne put Dark Souls in the past.
Yeah.
And Dark Souls 3
put now Bloodborne in the past.
Right, it's very weird.
Before 3 came out, coming after 2 and coming off Bloodborne, it's like, dude, too much. Like, especially when you play all the DLC as it comes out, it's just like constant Souls.
Bloodborne felt like it was moving on. And I'm so surprised that we're sitting here saying Dark Souls 3 is as good as it is, and we want more, not just Bloodborne, but Dark Souls. That's incredible.
I want them to do, what I want them to do is kind of just like move forward through time or like lore. Like, them doing a sci-fi game in this style would be like bananas.
I don't want them to do
I don't
like that.
But like, I mean, it would be weird, but like, the one I want them to do is like some kind of weird, like alternate reality, like Civil War era, like where there are guns but they're not great, like a Bloodborne-y sort of thing. But
I always
with monsters and stuff.
I think of Neo, right? And everyone's saying, Neo, it's coming out, it's gonna be like not Dark Souls killer, but it's like gonna stand with Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I always think it's funny because they reference the East so much in Dark Souls lore all the time. Samurais and armors and weapons and stuff. And I would always love, I've always wanted a Dark Souls where you go to like some
Feudal
Japanese
Japan.
or like Japanese setting or like some Eastern land. But now that Neo's coming out, it's like, well, that's going to scratch that itch. I don't really want that in Dark Souls anymore.
Hubert, you know what you just made me realize? Like, Dark Souls, I don't think it gets enough credit for this. Dark Souls wears its heart on its sleeve. Like, you're right, it just loves the East. Like, it just has characters with Eastern armor and katanas. It has like very overt Berserk references. It has, places that are built off of real-world architecture. It's like the people that are creating this game kind of fuse all of these passions together. Like, it's inspiring. Like, playing Dark Souls is inspiring. There will be times where I'll go into an area and I'll feel fear or excitement or wonder, and it's just like, there doesn't need to be any words. There doesn't need to be any dialogue. I don't need to choose anything. I don't need to level up. I don't need gear. I just need this moment. I just need this scene, and how much that conveys. Like,
It's good. The games are so great at just visual storytelling and, like, the lore. But, like, the other thing that's amazing about these games is how funny they are.
They're extremely funny.
They have an amazing sense of humor.
Yeah, that's true. They do.
It's, like, couched in, like, within that world. Like, it makes sense that Sigurd would be, like, kind of a jolly, doofy guy, Like,
that ring that makes you like a guy or a girl too.
Yeah,
he's just
it's
in
like
the
stuff
well,
like that is just so
and he's like,
I
I lost my armor.
Yeah, I'll get out of here somehow. And then Patches is like the one who kicked
Patches
him in
is
there.
wearing it, yeah.
Oh my god, it's so good. And like, love this game. It's weird, I played it on PC and I feel like I betrayed the PS4. Like, my friend was like,
No.
no, but it's like, my friend, no, it's just funny because it's like, my friend was like, are you going to try to 100% it? And I was like, I don't feel a drive to 100% it. Whereas if it was on the PS4, I'd want to platinum it.
I went through the same thing. So my main character is on the Xbox, and it's just something, I think it's like an OCD-ness where, I've gotten a platinum on a Souls game on a PlayStation system, and so to divide it up, it's not like
to split it up.
It's not
weird.
like I hate the Xbox or anything. It's just like that. It's just you want everything to be unified, and I get where you're coming from. I did
play it with a
that.
PS4 controller though.
Nice.
Because I'm not a Philistine.
Plus a style.
Not a Philistine.
JK.
Do we have any stirring, arousing, closing thoughts?
I think we nailed it.
I just want to say I was impressed with that game for how I did not think it would be as good as it was, especially if how many we've had back to back.
Yeah.
And I don't know how these guys crank these games out like a year apart. I assume it takes like 3 years or.
It's that Miyazaki touch, man.
I guess I'm very impressed with From Software.
I feel like I need to end this with a little bit of hyperbole.
Let's hear it.
If this was not 2016, and I think if this year wasn't maybe as like potentially stacked as it probably will be, I think Dark Souls 3, for me personally, for Ben Moore, would 100% be Game of the Year. Like, if this was 2014, for example, and thinking about that year's lineup, like, it wouldn't even be close.
So if Persona 5 gets bumped to 2017 in America,
it's got a shot.
This is the year. This is the year of Uncharted 4, Ben, and I wouldn't even question or like be mad if Dark Souls 3 was Game of the Year. It's that damn good.
It's that damn good.
So good.
And it's just like Brad said, it's really unbelievable that this game is as good as it is. And I maybe people single him out too much, but you can tell that Miyazaki worked on this game. I to me personally, I feel like his absence was very prominent.
He's
in
like
Dark Souls 2.
he's like a Kojima level kind of.
Yeah, I think so.
That kind of creative mind, yeah.
Do you want From Software to make a Castlevania game? I know this has been
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
to death.
Yes.
I don't.
Yes.
And here's why I don't, is because From Software proved to me that they know what I want more than I know what I want.
oh yeah,
That's true.
That's a
So-
good
yeah.
point. That's a good
So
point.
like I think I would compromise a lot of what makes them special is if they sort of went crazy with those fan related things. Like, whatever From Software gives me next, I want it to come from nowhere. I want it to be like that CD Projekt Red game, that Cyberpunk game. I just want it to like follow your heart, because I'm sure it's in a very pure, noble place.
Well, I mean,
Do you remember when they announced Bloodborne? I was losing my mind because I didn't see that coming. And
it came
a
from
Lovecraft
nothing.
Dark Souls game. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Project Beast.
What do you want though, Huber? Do you want a Castlevania game?
Oh man, I don't know.
Now that you said
I wouldn't.
that.
if tomorrow From Software says, "Yo, we're making Castlevania,"
Right, you're not
I
gonna
would
say no.
Scream.
Yeah.
But if they don't, I'm also gonna scream whatever they do.
Yeah, I would want Castlevania, like, that'd be awesome. But I would only want them to make it if they really wanted to make it and they feel like they could do something new with it.
Because just imagine that style of game, but because it wouldn't be like Dark Souls or Bloodborne. It would be like Castlevania, but with their touch, just making combat
Yeah.
bleed. I don't know.
I
don't
do
know.
want Tenchu though.
Like the whip and stuff, and like searching the castle. Like their level design, think
Yeah.
about how insane it would be if they made a game with one castle. That was like an entire
One
20,
big,
30
yeah.
hour game of just how
That had one-
nuts.
You're making me want to like backpedal on everything. I said. Like, yeah, just make that game.
Link back to like. Oh
Yeah.
my god. I have one idea for how we could close. I don't want to put you on the spot,
Okay, put me on the spot.
but they fixed the frame rate. You want to unofficially?
No, I'll go on
unofficially-
record. I have no problem saying this. Like, I don't feel like I messed up the review because they patched that game twice during my review process.
Yeah.
And there always gets to be a point with a review where you kind of just have to make a decision. And I thought with 2 patches, I've beaten the entire game. I've seen all the optional stuff. I feel qualified enough to give a verdict on it. But the version that I played, even after 2 patches, I played every single platform. The frame rate was a huge issue. It was a bigger issue than it had been in any other Souls games. And to the point, like the Pontiff fight,
Yeah.
for me was a slideshow.
Wow.
And it made that fight less good for me.
Yeah.
And I think like frame rate can be a really nitpicky thing to complain about, but when I think it's so bad that it detracts from your experience, it's a valid thing to complain about.
Absolutely.
However, like I think it was either the day of or the day after, they came out with a 3rd patch, and there are still frame rate issues with that game, but they're nowhere near as prominent as what I experienced. Had I reviewed the game under those conditions, I would have given it 5 stars. And I want people to know that. I'm not keeping it a secret from everybody. So if you want to view Dark Souls 3 as a 5-star game as it is now, I think you should.
Easy Ally's first 5-star game.
Yeah, I know Huber does.
Right? It's 5-star game.
5-star. He beat
Five
it.
out
No,
of
but if
five.
I had played slideshow
Yeah.
Pontiff fight, I would have been like, 4.5. Like,
Yeah.
It wasn't me being scared of the 5 stars or not wanting to do it or anything like that. It's
You were
just
kinda
just
bummed about it.
I was bummed about it. I wanted to give it a 5-star, but I just made a decision, and that decision over time proved to not really matter. Like it's a slightly different game now, and that version of the game deserves 5 stars. So to me, Dark Souls 3 is a 5-star game.
We did it.
And so it is that Ash